So I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is I have an update for you guys on the Acura Integra GSR. Now, I brought this on the channel a few months back, showing you guys the restoration process with it, and then it got taken away and I haven't been able to provide you guys with an update for a long time. But I hear you guys in the comments, and I thought today would be a good time to at least show you where it's currently at and why it's in the current state that it is and what we're going to be doing going forward with this. So long story short is that definitely not giving up on this car, and I haven't forgotten about it. It's just that there have been some complications, which I'll go into further detail with this. So to just bring you guys up to speed on what happened with this previously, this car was on Cars and Bids and it sold, but then it actually got stolen. And this is where my friend came in and picked this up from a Copart down in Van Nuys, California. Then it was brought all the way back up here to the States, and here it is currently. And we had this whole plan of what we were going to do, a full restoration on it. And I think where I left you guys off with is I actually cleaned the whole inside of this car, but it needs body work. So this one needs quite a bit of extensive body work on the outside to make it really nice. I was even going to put some aftermarket stuff from Hybrid Racing on this car. It's sitting on a set of coilovers, and it's a really clean example of a old Acura Integra like this. Very hard to find, especially black on black GSR like this one. But this is also going to be my first time seeing it in months, so I really don't know what to expect, but I'm hoping for the best here. Honestly, I'm a little nervous, but we'll see. And let's see here. Just like I left it. I wasn't expecting it to take this long, but stuff like this happens. And then I handed it off to actually be taken over to get body work done. And what happened was with the guy that was going to do it, we all got to meet and we chatted and we came up with a plan of how we were going to make video content showing you guys all the body work step by step. And this is actually somebody that is pretty prominent in the scene, and they've actually worked with other YouTubers as well. I'm not going to say any names just to pay respects to everybody, because I don't want this to be a blame game or anything like that. But essentially what happened is they got distracted by other stuff that they were working on, and I felt like they kicking this one down the road and not really providing much updates. I've been trying to get in contact with the guy for many months, and I wasn't met with much of a response. And as you guys know, I'm constantly running around doing all the other stuff, especially with the K-Series Civic. And this one just unfortunately got put on the back burner for many months. And I thought by this time there would at least be like a starting point with the bodywork getting done on this, but unfortunately it just hasn't got to that point. So it's almost like we hit the pause button on this. And what makes this even more sad is the fact that it actually started getting mold and mildew on the inside again. Yeah, you can even tell it hasn't been opened in a long time. So again, you can see all the spores again coming in the inside. I think a lot of it just comes down to the trunk. It's misaligned because it looks like it's been hit in the rear a little bit. If I take it over here, you can see what happened, and the smell is pretty prominent in this. So it needs to be gone through again. I don't think it will be as bad as the first time. I can see like the carpet looks pretty good, so I think this is just a lot of surface mold. But seriously, this stuff is not fun to mess around with, and can be really detrimental to your health. Of course, you know, you probably put the mask on, some gloves, and clean this up, and that'll actually be pretty easy. I think what's just disheartening is how long it's taken to do actual body work. So you see the fender needs some work, the hood needs some work, because I think somebody left the jump box on it and they slammed the door, or sorry, they slammed the hood because of how it was at an auction. These things happen. But more of the stuff is honestly in the back. And it just needs to be repainted again on some of these panels too, especially here on the rear. See how like messed up and scratched up it is on the backside. But overall, just the bones of it, I mean, it's a black on black GSR. And I almost kind of feel like I'm letting you guys down in a way. We also did the muffler and the exhaust because the cat was stolen. So it was crazy loud when we first got it. And mechanically, it's all there. I even spent so much time on the engine bay too, so I'm sure it looks really good. I'll pop open the hood here so that we can just get a further look at it. And I think one of the first things I'm also going to do too is get a nicer car cover for it. I just noticed that the one that's currently on it may not be the best. Even though It's in a safe place. That's the best part that you should know about this. I have GPS tracking it, so there's no major fault there when it comes to like this getting stolen. It's going to be impossible for that to happen. It's going to be parked behind Audi R8, which is over there. And then we have the BMW. So this will be in the perfect spot just to make sure that nobody's going to mess with it. That's the least of my worries. You can see this car cover too. It's not doing this car any justice. You know, I could sit here and try and sugarcoat it as much as I want, but in reality, it just kind of hurts me a little bit. I think that once we have a game plan and figure out who would be willing to do this, I think the biggest obstacle too is just like the person that we were working with was like a perfect fit, because it's interesting how people can switch up once you bring in the conversation of like wanting to capture videos. I think some people, they get a little skittish because they think like, oh, well, they're going to see everything we're doing behind the scenes and they're going to try and copy us. And that's a real conversation that I had with people. And I think in this case, it was less about like giving away the secret sauce, but it was just to show you guys the whole process, you know, like this is the whole reason I do this stuff is for the journey. It's never really about the destination. And oh, thank goodness, man. It, of course, it's not as clean as what it was like at the detailing shop, but it actually looks pretty good. This would clean up very easily. And I do want to say that I actually am truly sorry that things just aren't going the way that it was going to go according to plan. But I do want to be really optimistic about this. And I think once we go over and figure out what the next step is with the person that's going to do the body work and see if they even want to take this on in the first place, then I could feel pretty good about it. But as of right now, being basically tossed to the side constantly and not getting any sort of response from me, just from a business perspective, it just doesn't feel like the most respectful way about going through this. So I'm going to see what we can do to, you know, come to a common ground. And if it means we have to find somebody else to do it, that's totally fine. It's just a big part of this really was to be able to capture the process of being able to put it back together, and also doing it at a reasonable timeline, and also not getting in the way of their day-to-day business, which is actually a pretty tall order when you're trying to go through this stuff. And I think that in this case, I really want to make things work. And I think that the more I want this to be a certain way, it almost feels like it becomes more difficult in a sense. And I think that it's been a really big learning lesson. I think that, you know, when we go into these rebuild projects, I try and show you guys as much as I can when it comes to just like, you know, potential projects out there. But I guess this is more of a glimpse into the reality of what can happen sometimes with these setbacks when it comes to working with others to make restorations happen. I'm somebody that is definitely stubborn when it comes to what I want to work on in a certain capacity. But when it comes to stuff like body work, for example, that's just like a very desirable and niche skill that sometimes you just need the resources to be able to help you to do all this stuff. It's really hard to find people that you can trust, that do solid work, that are reasonable, and could get done. And this is not the first time this has happened with stuff like this, so I'm not going to hold any merit against the person that we're going to be working with on this, but it just puts into question, like, how much longer can we wait? I mean, it's been months now, and if it feels like we need to chase them down constantly, then maybe this is not the right fit. And I hate to say it, but maybe that's just where it's come down to. And really, for my friend and I, this was just supposed to be like a really fun restoration project. I mean, I'm super excited about the car. And in any other capacity, I mean, look at it. It's freaking fantastic for a Honda enthusiast like myself. And I know for some of you guys out there too that really like the Honda content, this is something that you guys have been anticipating. And I feel like I've been building up to a crescendo and then it just flatlined, you know? Like it's just, I wish I had a better answer for you guys, but I think we can look at the positives in this and that fact that it hasn't been stolen, because I think that was the biggest concern that I had. I was really scared for a while because it was like in my friend's brother-in-law's driveway, and then they went out of town for a while. And I was just thinking the whole time, I mean, this was back in the summer. Isn't that so crazy how just time flew by? And I was just thinking like, man, if this car gets stolen after all of the work we put in so far, can you imagine like how shocking it would be? So, you know, I could sit here and go on about, you know, getting the body work done and stuff like that. But I mean, even run it right now. It's really mechanically sound, and I want to count my blessings for that. But I just think if we want to take it to the next level, make this a proper restoration, it needs body work. So we need somebody that can do it. So maybe you guys can let me know down in the comments how you would approach this, or what you think would be a prominent solution. Because seriously, at this point, I'm more than happy to hear you guys out on this one. But it sucks, man. I think that I will do my best, and I'm gonna work with my friend to come up with a game plan this week. And if we need to pivot, then let's pivot. You know, I don't think we can sit here and just like have to rely on others to make it happen, but we also have to be proactive and stay on top of it. And I want to take accountability and say that there have been moments where I haven't been staying on top of it as much as I would like. You know, in other cases, like with the Civic, I think that I got really sidetracked by that. And sometimes when you have like all these different car projects, you almost like completely forget that you even have some of these cars. I mean, the other day, somebody had to remind me that I have a Miata. I swear to God, I didn't even remember I have the NB Miata. Like that is how deep in this stuff I am. So if you're gonna take any takeaway from this, don't get to this point with the cars. Pick one, have fun with it, and it's all good. But in this capacity, as much as I do love the cars, and I feel so fortunate, man. I mean, I literally came from nothing to do this stuff. I mean, my first car that I bought from Copart auction was $125. I was living in my dad's basement, and I had no money. And to get to this point where I'm at right now, to make videos for you guys and enjoy what I do is really truly a gift. As the rain starts to come down again for the 5 millionth time, it is what it is. I will spend some time here. I think we're gonna go in the car and go over and talk to the guy right now to see what we can do in terms of coming up with a plan to make this happen. We could sit here and talk about this forever. At the end of the day, it's all about taking the action. So if we, like I said, if we need to change plans, I'm all for it. It needs to be done right. And if it means having to sacrifice not being able to capture content to get the bodywork done and get it painted, then so be it. But I also think that there is so much opportunity to really just, you know, sink our teeth into being able to show what it could come out looking like. You know, it is what it is. So anyways, I'm going to stop the video here. And maybe I'll wipe down the seats or something, but man, it just sucks. Anyways, later.